Well, it's never too late to reignite your spirit for rock and roll. A 60s and 70s band tries to prove just that with its music documentary, Fanny, The Right to Rock, about the Filipino-American band making music again in their golden years. The film comes out in local theaters September the 7th. We find out more from Fanny drummer and vocalist Brie Darling, joining us now from Los Angeles, and documentary director Bobbi Jo Hart from Montreal in Canada. Ladies, thank you so much for joining us on The Final Word. Brie, let me start off with you. What brought together the members of Fanny in the 60s?
I first met June and Jean in Northern California. We all lived in the Sacramento area. And at the time, there weren't a lot of female musicians. So we were all a small community. We met each other and we started playing together in an all-girl band that we called The Spells. And that's how we met. And I have to say, it was wonderful for me to meet other Filipino-Americans, because at the time, rock and rollers and Filipino-American musicians were few and far between.
Bobbi Jo, what intrigued you? What made you decide to write and direct Fanny, The Right to Rock?
I mean, it was this incredible untold story of these amazing women David Bowie said, they were one of the finest rock bands he'd ever seen, and then he was quoted in Rolling Stone magazine, I read about 6 years ago, "Revivify Fanny and I will feel that my work is done." And when I read that, and I just started seeing some of their videos that were starting to get posted online, and then I realized that they were getting back together for a new rock album, I just thought, all of my films over the last 25 years have been about revivifying untold stories about amazing human beings, especially women and underrepresented women and girls. So how could I not just want to spread the word about this incredible band?
I've seen the documentary, and now I'm listening to the music of Fanny. So Brie, share with us, what were some of the struggles of an all-female rock band in the 60s and 70s?
Well, I think all rock bands struggle a little bit just trying to break through in this huge world. But being female, being where we lived a minority, considered a minority, and being women and being so young, it was all difficult. But the wonderful thing was that we had each other. At the time, I felt very different, but at least I could be different together with June and Jean Millington.
And Bobbi Jo, from your viewpoint, what was the groundbreaking impact of Fanny's music that has been lost in the midst of time?
Very good question. I mean, these are women that were writing their own songs, playing their own instruments. I mean, they, as June Millington once said, they created the frame and then they stepped into it. I mean, there were no women that were doing what they were doing beforehand. And whether so many bands have been standing on the shoulders of Fanny, and just like many women have stood on the shoulders of those fighting for women's right to vote, for example, I thought that's where the title came from, Fanny, The Right to Rock, because they just made it happen. And I think they're just so groundbreaking because they gave all girls and women everywhere the permission and the inspiration to use their voices and stand up for what they believe in. And through music, rock is a metaphor for, as June says in the film, if you get knocked down, get back up again and keep going. And so I think that's the message to girls and young women everywhere. And for anyone who feels underrepresented or marginalized, that don't give up, just keep fighting for what you believe in, and you can make a difference.
And Brie, do you feel...
Grab on and kick butt, right?
Yeah. And Brie, do you feel that you and your fellow members in Fanny were just ahead of your time?
I guess we were a little bit ahead of the time, because there weren't a lot of women musicians, especially young girls, doing rock and roll. There were some, not very many. And it was a long, hard struggle. Not to say that it wasn't all bad. It was fun. It's fun to struggle sometimes and work for what you love.
And are you really so excited that you've reunited with the other band members and making music once again?
Yes, we never lost touch. We bonded back in 1966, and we did not lose that bond. But to be able to play again together and perform again together is a wonderful thing, and I am grateful.
And Bobbi Jo, this 1.5-hour documentary also features, among others, Def Leppard's Joe Elliott, you have Bonnie Raitt, the Go-Go's Kathy Valentine. And despite their struggles, Fanny has really had a major impact on the music industry.
They really have, and they're getting so much attention now. Articles everywhere. In the New York Times, it's going to be airing on PBS as well in the US next year, and BBC in the UK, and opening, so excited that it's opening on September 7th across the Philippines. I mean, this is just the most wonderful news. And we really hope that the film inspires everyone across the Philippines, and to listen to Fanny's music, and to pick up a guitar, and to write your own music and write your own stories.
So Brie, will you tell all the other members who are not with us in this interview that you have to have a concert here in Manila sooner rather than later?
I want to be there right now. Yes, I will spread that news to them, and I can't wait to go to the Philippines. I've been there once. I was conceived there, but I've been there once performing at the Araneta Coliseum, and I loved it. I love getting to, see my heritage, see my culture firsthand. It was remarkable for me. So yes, we're coming.
Absolutely. Brie and Bobbi Jo, hope to see you soon right here in Manila. Thank you so much for joining us on The Final Word. Fanny, drummer and vocalist Brie Darling, and Fanny, the Right to Rock director Bobbi Jo Hart.